Hello, darling.
How are you?
It's been a flappy morning. Yeah, so obviously we are having a chat today, and we wanted to come in with a little bit of research. So I needed to get up a bit early to do some of that research, and yeah, I think I've mentioned before I'm trying to get my products put into production at the moment. That's like a big thing for me right now. So I was talking to the factory for like 2 hours whilst also doing this research because
Yeah.
they just sent me a picture of the first sample very close. But me being me, I'm like, well, I can tell that that chain is a millimeter thinner than it should be. I can see that that vegan leather tab is about 5 millimeters to the right of where it should be because I make these belts all day, every day. So I'm a tyrant.
Yeah. No. I mean, here's the thing. I call myself a tyrant quite often, but it's because I deeply care about what I'm doing and what I'm putting out there. And, for you to even get to this point, maintaining some of the perfectionism that has made Tommy Val's, then, I think that's
It's
okay.
crazy. I mean, handing over sort of that level of control to somebody else, even though they are so extremely capable and are doing an amazing job, it's like there's going to be things like there's going to be compromises I'm going to have to make because they're not going to be able to source exactly the same materials, and it's going to be a process. But yeah, me today trying to research BDS and also chat with this factory was just a bit of a...
But also talking BDS, and we are going
Yeah.
to booking.com, right? Can I
Yes,
just
yes.
remind you of when you used to struggle to show up to booking.com on time? Right?
Yeah.
You used to be so late that they were like, look, we are just going to have to fire you. I mean, we're desperate, but at this point, because you used to turn up late and then you'd need a little something, right? You'd be making a little snack. And then you still wouldn't be able to focus or concentrate because you were so fucking bored.
In my mind, that's the way it was. But I can also remember them pulling me into meetings and be like, look, Tommy, the lateness is a real problem. But we're really struggling with the idea of letting you go because you're just really good.
Yeah! See, that's what I
mean. Like the way that you speak to customers and the way that you are actually able to handle situations is way above where most people are here.
Yeah.
So we really do. We keep giving you lifelines, but the lateness, like...
Yeah, you cannot swan into the office 40 minutes later than everybody else.
And get away with it just because you are better at this than most people. Yeah.
But I mean, I just I just want to remind you what an amazing, exciting set of problems to have, right? Again, just for that kid that moved to Berlin without a fucking clue.
for like me to have this item that is now at the point where I can't make them fast enough. Like that exactly. Is just, to be able to just go back and tell that person that was arriving to booking.com completely laminated.
Yes.
Like, not only are you going to be sober, you're going to have a business that is so successful that you're not going to be able to make the pieces fast enough.
The lateness and laminated graph.
Yeah. But also, I would also like to commend you on the fact that you are laminated at work and nobody's noticed, and they keep telling you how well you're doing the job.
Same deal. I had like a data entry job when I first went to Berlin, where I used to just literally go out all night and then be like, well, I guess I'm just gonna go straight to the office then. And I used to be so hungover, I used to fantasize about just opening a window and walking out. I was just like, I just can't do this. But I remember the guy that I was working for there, kind of friend of a friend, that's how I ended up with the job, was like, oh yeah, but even you drunk again, like even you late drunk and smelling like an ashtray, you were still doing the business, right? You're still making it happen. So at least now it's stuff that we're interested in and we're not busy making money for other people. Blech.
Exactly. Blech. Yeah, no, completely. Especially Booking.com, who is on the BDS list.
Yeah, is it all going? It's all going well because you do have a lot on. Because obviously you're in the middle of a house renovation as well.
Yeah, no, it's all going great. I'm just really busy and I'm sort of at my limit. But we're,
babes, are we ready to have to talk about the fact that you've technically been at your limit?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the reason that it's feeling different now is because I am in talks with the factory. You know, like this actually isn't forever, and I know I've been saying that for years, but now I'm actually at the point where samples have been made, and I am talking about those 0.5 centimeters and all that. So we are actually getting to a point where I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to come up with a little bit of time for us to get together. I've decided.
Definitely.
I said to Kev,
100%.
I might just talk to Robbie and see if I could kidnap you for Fashion Week in Paris.
Oh my God.
I think it's like the end of September. Letitia Cartomancy's going to be there doing some Taro stuff.
Oh, wow.
I really just need to go to Paris and eat croissant because, you know, that's the kind of ridiculous thing I have to do with my life sometimes to remember what it's all for, right?
Well, I mean, the move's in August, so I mean, September is...
This is what I'm like, I might just kidnap you for a couple of days. I'll either come and get you and we can train to Paris, or I'll meet you in Paris. But I'm thinking you, me, black coffee, croissant, a lot of shit talking, and then it's Paris Fashion Week, and you are the brand, you are the mood, you are the moment. So you could also just wear a load of amazing fits, and we'll just like parade ourselves around like it's ab fab, basically.
Sounds absolutely gorgeous. And like I say, September will be coming out of all of the stress and things will start to be calming down. I hope.
I could just do with a little bit of anybody listening, I'm sure you have this with your friends, with your bestie. I used to have Tommy time. Right, and usually Tommy time was when we'd both just go to West Berlin, where the big posh shopping centres are, so we could ride the escalators and look at ourselves in the mirrors, right, and try on ridiculous sunglasses, and we weren't really doing anything, but it's healing. It's just really, really healing, I think a little bit of cemeteries, skulls,
I would love that.
Fashion Week, and you've never been to Paris, which I just am not able to cope with at this point.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, let's definitely do that. I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, okay, amazing. Americans listening to right now going, God damn Europeans, it is literally so easy for you to go
I know,
everywhere.
We
are really lucky.
How have you been? I've been noticing that you have seemed quite sort of glowy on socials.
I know. What is your secret? I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot. I've just been so relieved to have something resembling my mojo back that I've tried not to question it too much. But I think it's two things. Firstly, spite. It's spite. I seriously, I've got into the science of spite recently, and how apparently if you're neurodivergent, especially like ADHD, spite is actually a really great way of running. It's a good way of getting things done. So obviously you and I did a lot of dealing with our resentments and not wanting to be resentful or not wanting to be angry about things. And that's not really a strategy that's going to work for me at the moment. Right? In the year of Our Lady Catherine O'Hara 2026, I'm fucking furious all the time. So unless I find a way to funnel that and a way to fuel that, I'm fucked. So I've decided that everything I do, if I can't do it from a place of love and hope, and do it from a place of rage and spite. And if people don't like it, they don't like it, they can leave. That's fine. I just think that who I am, just the way that it kind of began in the pandemic, is I'm where I need to be for us, especially in the midst of hard times, because I'll be honest about the fact that it's hard. And I think just embracing all of that and really committing to not trying to be anything or anyone other than kind of who I am and where I'm at right now has been really powerful. So yeah, spite I can recommend, but also, I know you're not going to want to hear this right now, rest.
Don't know her.
Yeah, right. Like actual months of having to manage my capacity in a way that I've never had to in my life before, because I got so ill and so burnt out and so fucking over it, if I'm completely honest. So I used to have days there, as recent as a couple of months ago, where I'd be like, okay, it's either answer that one email or take a shower today, because we're not going to be able to do both. Months of waking up with the best will in the world, but by the time I've come into consciousness and made a cup of coffee, I'm done.
I get you.
Do you know?
You.
Like, just absolutely, like, past the point I was running on fumes, there literally was nothing left, no matter how much I was wishing it otherwise. And I had no choice but to really just surrender to not knowing kind of who I was or where I was at or what to do or to work with. And it was so uncomfortable. And it lasted so much longer than I would have liked. But I do feel that I wouldn't be feeling kind of renewed, refreshed, and rageful if I hadn't been able to, like, really go to ground.
I mean, I love that for you. I mean, for me, I worry that if I got to that place, I might just completely lose my shit and never come back. That's my worry.
But you will. You will, because I can tell you you will, because I know you will, because I've just been and gotten lost in the bog for like 6, 8, 10 months. Like, you know, I think people listening who kind of know me, who followed me for a while, they'll have seen the point that I really started to slide. You know, living there back in Belfast. And yeah, I really started to tell myself a story about, well, this is just who I am now, and I was very unhappy about it. But what I had to do was kind of get to a point where I'm like, this is just who I am now, and I'm gonna have to get happy about it because I want to continue to be here, and I want to continue to be a problem.
No, absolutely. I mean, you've been taking readings again, 1-to-1 readings.
Yeah.
How's that been? Good.
I've actually really enjoyed it. And I think partly it's because I'm very lucky now to be at the point where I think most people who book with me know exactly what they're getting signed up for. I don't think anyone's kind of taken a punt on whether or not I'd be the right reader for them. I feel like people are either
already
I've worked,
invested.
Yeah, I've worked with them before. They're cult members. They've been on and around my social media a while. It's like I don't have that strange anxiety about the kind of person I might end up in a Zoom room with, which it got kind of wild there for a while for obvious reasons. You know, I had one woman book an appointment with me because she thought it was going to be an opportune moment to school me about Israel and
I remember that.
birthright trips, and I was like, absolutely not, not Zionist, Susan, goodbye. But it obviously created a level of anxiety around that interaction that I just hadn't had or had to think about in my work before. But so we're good.
I can imagine. Yeah.
We're good. And obviously, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hugely motivated by trying to buy a house in Ireland.
Yeah, it's been the thing that's kept me going. Yeah. You know, because I've had to make the money. Like,
housing security.
Yeah.
Under late stage capitalism.
It turns out having to replace the electricity and the heating of a house.
I know, honey.
As well as completely gutting it and replacing everything. Quite expensive. Even if you've got help, even if your partner's dad knows how to do all that stuff, you still got to buy all the materials. You know it's expensive.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's the thing people don't realise with buying a house. Yes, you have the ginormous purchase price, but in terms of solicitors and fees for this and fees for that and costs for that, and you get in there and you're like, this needs replacing and we need one of these, and we just, you know, it's like it's endless. But we'd still like one to call our own at this point. We'd like
It's just some of the things where you're like, oh, that's how much it costs just in terms of like the tax and all that. Like, it, you know, like a third of the amount that you were going to put down for a deposit has just been taken up by just fee. You know, paper pusher fees.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
No, anyway. You know, grown-up stuff, ew, right? It really is still like, I know that people listening will maybe relate to this, but I so often am sort of like looking over each shoulder and being like, I'm unsupervised, right? Like, I kind of look at it all now and kind of go, this is it. I always kind of wondered, what point did you get to adult life and it just kind of clicked and you were the grown-up now, and I'm like, I think this is it. I think it's happening.
I look at sums of money like that and I'm like, well, you could just go on the Smith & Son website and just buy the whole catalogue and just forget about this stupid house. It's stuff like that. It's just like, I think sometimes about a sum of money and I'm like, what would that buy me? You know? Honestly,
if you looked at my vintage, you'd see that I maybe have the same issue. Little treat culture as a way of coping might have gotten a little bit out of control. Dopamine fiends, can't fucking help it, so I'm not going to give myself a hard time about it. Another cheerful topic on Skunks at the Garden Party today, though. It is a cheerful topic because it involves sticking it to the establishment, which is pretty much my favourite topic. It goes hand in hand with all that spite that I'm operating off of now.
Yeah, no, completely. I enjoyed doing a little bit of research into this today. You know, I know a bit. I definitely support the BDS movement as and where I can, but like actually just sitting down and really looking into it was actually a really good exercise for me. And I think like part of what's so good about this podcast is like it's our time where we get to have a chat.
Yeah.
And it also sometimes we get to look into things and dig into things that maybe I wouldn't have taken the time to have just sat down and really looked into before.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's part of why I'm so grateful for the cult is that they've granted me so much opportunity. You know, I've done classes in there on the April Uprising in Ireland in 1916, Congo, Sudan, like opportunities I've had to learn. You know, I've then had the opportunity to kind of share what I found, and we are all kind of learning and unlearning together, and I absolutely love it. But the more of that we get to do here, of course, the better. Our little stinkers. I have a little bit on the history of boycotts for us, because obviously BDS, if you don't know, and it's fine if you don't, right? It's never too late to join this party. BDS boycott, divest, sanctions. So a strategy, essentially. But I had a little look at where it is that this strategy originates from. So you might have heard of one Captain Charles Cunningham Boycott, who was, of course, a Brit. And he was a Brit in Ireland, where he had no good business being, because he was a land agent for Lord Erne. And Lord Erne had a lot of control over a lot of the lands in County Mayo in the Republic of Ireland. And in September of 1880, the tenant farmers in Mayo were facing such terrible harvests and hardship that they asked for a 25% rent reduction. You know, so they could survive, so they could eat. And obviously his lordship and land agent said no. And instead, boycott started trying to evict the protesting tenants from their houses and from their lands. Classic Brit behaviour, especially in Ireland during this time. So, inspired by a tactic proposed by one Charles Stuart Parnell, the entire town decided collectively to socially and economically ostracise boycott. So employees just abandoned his estates. No harvest at all for you, right? Local businesses just cut him off. You're not getting any supplies from us. So he ends up having to call in military and troops, not only for protection, but also to work the land and get the harvest in. But this costs thousands, and they're only able to recoup a fraction of what it is that it cost them. So he's basically done an absolutely terrible job here. And so within about 3 months, he goes scuttling off back to England with his tail between his legs. So what started, though, as kind of a localised protest has obviously now evolved into something that we recognise as a global tactic. So this idea of not only economically but socially ostracising individuals, you know, fucking IOF soldier, you know, but also big companies and big corporations, in order to hold them accountable for who it is that they're dealing with, where it is that their money's going. So obviously this tactic evolves and continues to work over time. So in the 1920s and 30s, Indians boycotted British goods, boycotted British institutions, and started really damaging the British economy and how much the British textile industry had been kind of established in India. And of course, famously in 1955, we had the Alabama bus boycotts as part of the civil rights movement in America. So that's a time when 75% of the people using the buses had to adhere to segregation. And they just stopped using the buses.
Amazing.
Right? They started carpooling and walking and taking cabs. And fine, if you're going to treat us in this way, if you're going to be so abominably racist, then we will just refuse to use the service. And at the peak, the bus company in Alabama is losing 30 to 40,000 ticket fares a day.
Wow.
Of people collectively saying, I've had enough, and why would I support a service that won't support me, that doesn't recognise me and recognise my rights? And as recent as 1955, lest we forget. And then the example that I think really keeps the fuel going for the fire that is the BDS movement for Palestine is, of course, the global boycott that helped to push South Africa into abandoning its apartheid policies, obviously in the 80s and the 90s. And that was widespread global boycotting. So much as we're seeing kind of now for in support of Palestine, consumer goods, sports events, other entertainment events, and obviously more recently, I'm sure you might talk about this, but we have had some success. And I was having a little look, and I just don't think we do enough to highlight some of where the big hits are in terms of the BDS movement for Palestine. So AXA famously dropping all of its investment and associations with Israel, as well as Elbit Systems, because of public pressure. Barclays Bank getting put under pressure big time from people boycotting festivals and things if they were being sponsored by Barclays, because they're still complicit in the genocide in Palestine. And I think my favourite example of a boycott in action for us recently might be the fact that, do you remember when Elon Musk bought Twitter? Twitter was a pretty legit social platform, let's face it. And so I can tell you that it has lost more than half of its advertising revenue since Elon Musk took over.
Wow. That's so interesting because, you know, like, not only are people boycotting it, it also just got a lot worse. So I feel like even people on the right are less incentivized to use it. I feel like they've all flocked to, you know, Truth Social or whatever other nutty platform they're using, because it also just doesn't really work anymore as a platform.
No, I mean, here's the thing. I was never really that into Twitter. I think I had Twitter accounts here and there, but I was never really that active there. But I'm obviously aware of, like, how influential that platform was. You know, how big the user base, how much money was being made there. And of course, Elon Musk touched it and it completely went to shit. And we just so love to see it, especially because it was becoming a pretty rotten place for a certain kind of very right-wing rhetoric as well, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's one of those places that just also has sort of zero protections for marginalized people.
Yeah.
You know, I've had trans friends saying that they can experience like the worst types of pile-ons on Twitter without any kind of repercussions for those accounts.
Yeah, it's a shame. I feel like Twitter for a while was a bit of a safe haven for the kind of stuff that wasn't going to get... Well, you couldn't put on Meta, you know, and then obviously... There was a while that I was really considering building a presence there just because... you know, a section of my customer base very much is the fetish scene, and that's something that I can't really showcase. Like, I've had serious repercussions from posting even people fully clothed but wearing like a latex hood. That's got me in so much trouble in the past. Jessamy must be having a hard time.
So far he's been all right.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Pleased to hear it. I personally, with BDS, can get a little bit frustrated with people because I consider it to be phenomenally fucking easy and kind of the bare minimum. But maybe you can tell us a little bit more about it before
I also get really frustrated with people, like, especially when it's just like, if somebody drinks a Coke around me, I find myself just getting really angry.
Yeah.
Or speaking about going to sort of McDonald's or Starbucks, I'm just like, come on, these are like, it's the minimum, and it shows me that you've not thought about this issue at all. Anyway, so BDS was founded on July the 9th, 2005. I first actually would like to say this is just the research I've done. There are probably quite a few people that know a lot more than me.
And everybody knows at this point that research for this podcast involves you and me desperately Googling in the last 10 minutes that we have before we're expected to log in.
While also being on the phone to a factory, yes.
Yeah.
I've done my best. I've done my best.
Yeah, and remember, everyone, that's all we're doing, right? We're just out here doing our best.
yeah, we're just doing our best. But what I've found is it was founded on July the 9th, 2005. A coalition of over 170 Palestinian civil society organizations, trade unions, and refugee networks officially launched the Boycott, Divestment Sanctions Corps, BDS.
Amazing.
The organisers state that the movement is explicitly modelled after the international boycotts used against the South African apartheid during the 20th century, as you mentioned, Hannah. So there were three major demands. The campaign bases its platform on international law demanding that Israel end its occupation and colonisation of all Arab lands and dismantle the West Bank barrier.
Yes.
Recognise the fundamental rights of Arab Israeli citizens to full equality. Respect, protect and promote the rights of Palestinian refugees to return to their homes as stipulated in UN Resolution 194.
Fuck yeah, say it again.
There are three boycott tiers. The campaigns target direct complicit companies, which are consumer boycotts. They pressure institutions to pull investments, divestment, and push to end government military aid or trade agreements, sanctions. So they have a targeted strategy. So BDS explicitly avoids boycotting every Israeli company or product. It deliberately focuses on a small number of high-profile targets to maximize media impact and economic pressure. So there's the sort of anti-BDS laws, which have been active in more than 35 states in the US, along with several European nations. So they've passed specific laws or executive orders that penalise or restrict businesses and public institutions from participating in BDS campaigns. So there's been a big sort of backlash to this in terms of sort of international law, which is obviously really vile to see. So there's also been cultural and academic arms, which sort of beyond economic goods. So the movement organises separate cultural and academic boycotts, pressuring international artists, musicians and universities to cancel events or partnerships inside Israel. So we can obviously think of people in the public eye that have acted in these sort of interests as well. So I also just wanted to look into, I've picked 5 kind of key brands that I wanted to go into, and some of these have been a little bit surprising for me in what I've seen. So
yes, go for it.
So McDonald's was targeted. Yeah, I mean, this is one that I obviously am not a fan of anyway, before I understood their complicity with Israel's genocide. So they were targeted because its Israeli franchise gave thousands of free meals to the Israeli military. So the BDS movement formally adopted this grassroots boycott. Now, Starbucks, reading into this surprised me a little bit because it's not an official BDS target. It's targeted by grassroots groups because their corporate management sued its workers' union for posting a pro-Palestine statement online. So they actually had quite a severe backlash, and they were one of the ones that have seen the biggest sort of drop in sales as a result, because this was something that was so public, because, you know, their union spoke out publicly against Israel, and you know, the legal team within Starbucks went after the union and sort of were suppressing pro-Palestinian voices. So that is why that one is on there. They actually don't, as far as I know and as far as my research saw, they don't have sort of Israeli stores, but they are a target because of the sort of anti-Palestinian rhetoric that we saw with that sort of campaign.
And their coffee's shit. I'm just gonna.
Their coffee is shit, and the thing is,
shit.
they ruin neighborhoods, and shut down local cafes because of their presence in neighborhoods.
Well, I was gonna say, I just made a little note here. I think the thing I enjoy most about McDonald's, Starbucks, like being BDS, is that we're also doing our own local communities a favor in changing our perspective and boycotting these huge multi-million-dollar conglomerate. Like when I went to Japan and went to the sacred temple of Nara, right, to see the bowing deer and be surrounded by ancient history, I didn't need there to be a mega Starbucks built into the hill there. They were everywhere we went in Japan, and it really is so eye-opening to that insane globalization. So the idea of I'm not going to get my coffee there, I'm instead going to get it from an independent coffee shop where I'm actually supporting an individual in their living, their livelihood, their survival, their family's survival. The choice for us now surely should be so simple, and we get to back Palestinians at the same time as getting a decent cup of coffee. No brainer. Completely, and support somebody's dream and family business. I was craving. Do you know what? I have used a McDonald's drive-through, right? I have depression. I have been through a McDonald's drive-through, right? I enjoy dipping fries in a fucking McFlurry, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I haven't crossed the threshold of a McDonald's since it was called for as a BDS target. And do you know what I've lost? Absolutely nothing.
And the thing is, I mean, not to be the vegan, but it is what they have done, to the meat industry is just absolutely vile. And, just to speak to some, smaller businesses that we have in Berlin, we have Vegged, which is now become a chain of vegan burger restaurants that are absolutely outstanding, I have to say. And I feel like every major city is going to have an incredible vegan burger restaurant where, what an actual chicken nugget is, you can create exactly the same from plant-based meats. You are not going to know the difference.
I've only very recently, Kev went vegetarian. He's eaten fish, but he went with big deal for Kev, cutting it, and I've just sort of naturally started to follow suit. And I will tell you, I think it's part of why I'm feeling better. I've just been plant-based, and I think in terms of trying to manage my energy and, but I will say this, for anyone that's you cannot talk me out of a cheeseburger, cult mother, right? I'm not trying to, but on those days where I've okay, I am big depresso, I feel like a cheeseburger would fix me, again, I went to my local burger joint. And they made me a cheeseburger and some fries, and I ate it in the car, crying in the rain while listening to The Cause, and it fixed me. Yeah, and I didn't have to cross a picket line in order to do something a little dirty. So if you still need it, you can get it. You just need to be a little bit more conscious about where.
Completely. And there's I don't use these myself, but I know that there's apps you can use where you can scan barcodes and actually check, is something BDS safe? Is this a product that was made in Israel? There's all sorts of ways you can do that. Yeah.
We'll put the link in the show notes because I think it's called the No Thanks app.
That sounds right. I just do a Google usually. But again, we're moving towards a place where we're gonna have to start boycotting Google as well. There's so much to be thinking about.
Go live in a cave, give away all your stuff.
The thing is, I think it is easy to get overwhelmed, and I think for me, certainly in the beginning, just being right, there's going to be 5 that I'm going to really target to begin with. Yes. And I'll build on that, because otherwise it can be very much am I just stopping my whole entire life? And nobody's able to do that. So just bite-sized bits, reading slowly, and taking your time. Even if you can just boycott a couple, that already makes a difference if those are products that you regularly buy.
Like I said, I know that you mentioned it's really important. BDS say, look, it's not that we're just blanket boycotting Israel, because it's the fact that things are targeted, makes it direct, makes it deliberate. But I personally am boycotting Israel. Everything that comes out of Israel basically is not going to come anywhere, is not landing anywhere near me. But we have to be careful because they're getting sneaky. So everybody got really good at checking their dates, for example, making sure they're not from Israel. You know, when you look at and now you'll get imported from, and they're going to land them somewhere else before they import them into the UK because they know that people don't want to buy Israeli shit right now. So I think that's where the app and stuff comes in handy. Is they're going to start getting a little smarter in trying to interrupt our efforts to disturb them economically.
Completely. I mean, I think, but there are some products where, like I say, for example, Coca-Cola, but like I recently bought a big tray of Palestine cola, which was honestly, in my opinion, 10 times better. It's got a really cool design on the can. A portion of the profits does go directly to people in Gaza. And it just, I don't know, it just felt like you were part of something buying this crate of this specific cola.
One of the things I always loved about Berlin was when you first moved to Berlin, people don't buy Coca-Cola because you have Fritz Cola.
Yeah, exactly.
Fritz Cola is made up the road in Hamburg. And I think one of the things I love most about Ireland is that they also just go so hard here for local products and locally produced. So one of my favourite things to do at the moment is to try Coca-Cola alternatives. Because we all know, people call a cold Diet Coke from the fridge a fridge cigarette. We all know how hard a cold crispy Coke hits, right? But give it the fuck up or look for an alternative. And we've got McDade's made in Donegal. And they do a drink called a football special, which is a bit like a Spezi. But yeah, there are alternatives, and it's actually kind of fun waking up to a whole world where it's not just about the monopoly. Yeah. And there's different kinds of Coca-Cola. I can't wait to try the Palestine Coca-Cola.
Spezi, for people that have never lived in Germany, it's kind of like if you take Coke and you mix it with like an orange Fanta. It's... which sounds gross, but it does kind of work.
It just kind of hits the spot. It's something to do with the scale of hangover that you have to deal with in Berlin, but not mad about it. I remember when I first started working at AKA, I'd first moved to Berlin. John said to me, I asked him if he wanted anything from the shop, and he said a Spezi. And I was like, was like, okay, you know, and you're just like,
I'll work it out,
ask you what you said, I'll work it out, and then you get to the shop and realise that you're never ever going to work out what what a Spezi is. Now I know that you haven't just got McDonald's and Starbucks on that list.
No, so
I'm waiting for one. I'm waiting for one of them.
Oh, okay. So I've not. It's not an exhaustive list. I put 5.
No.
I've also put SodaStream.
Yes.
So
big
this
one
is an official priority target because its factory in the Nakab region is tied to the displacement of indigenous Palestinians. Now, this one is one that I looked into fairly recently because we had a SodaStream machine, and we had it before we knew, and we'd looked into the replacement parts so that they were not from SodaStream. It was from another company, but it broke recently and we needed a new one, and we found another company that I think was called Soda Pop or something. We did all our research, and that is BDS safe. So I think it was Soda Pop. I might be wrong, but what I'm saying is there's definitely alternatives to make your fizzy water, because in Germany you do not, especially if you've got a German partner, you have to have fizzy water in the house at all times, and it gets expensive.
Some sort of Sprudelungswasser?
Yeah.
Fizzy water.
Sprudelwasser. Yeah.
Sprudelwasser. Oh, my German. Patricia, who is cult astrologer, witch mother, is cringing at me even attempting to speak German. It's tut mir leid. SodaStream. I think there was something to do. SodaStream had something to do with the big. Is it Saba or Sabra hummus? Oh, it's all connected.
Yeah. I feel like you were waiting for Amazon, perhaps, and I've somehow not put that on the list, which is what I've just realised, which is crazy.
Right. It's not an exam. No one's going to be mad at you.
Yeah, I've also got Coca-Cola and Puma.
Yes, Puma was a big success one, I think.
Puma was boycotted for sponsoring the Israel Football Association, which includes settlement teams. But it was a success because the company terminated the sponsorship at the end of 2024. So I've seen quite a few of these where I think Adidas as well was another one that sort of turned it around and ended up being dropped from the list. So like you said before, it works.
It works.
So Coca-Cola finally was targeted because of its because its Israeli franchise runs a large distribution center inside an illegal settlement which was built on occupied land. So that's the reason that we are going so hard against Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and that's a big, for people who are wondering why Booking.com, Airbnb, these targets are included, it's because of the fact that they are happy to essentially advertise properties that are in the occupied West Bank.
Yeah.
So could you not?
Could you not? I mean, I find a thing that is really good to do is to just use it literally as your search engine for finding places and then going direct to property. Yeah, because, you sort of can't really blame small businesses for having to rely on such a big platform as Booking.com, but you can take your money directly to that small business.
Yeah, absolutely. And quite often I'll find, you go on there and you might find the hotel you want to stay in and you look at their deal. But if you do take a bit of time, see if they have got a website or a phone number, or
they will
get a better price booking with them directly, because
they've not got to pay the fees. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So, but what it comes down to essentially is convenience, and capitalism loves us to feel all coddled and content with all of our ridiculous convenience. Amazon, you just mentioned Amazon, right? Click.
Yeah.
Click and it's here. Right?
Yeah. No, completely.
And we all are like, okay, life actually isn't great, but I can click and it's here, so I guess actually it must be okay. So us choosing not the immediately available option, us choosing a little bit of going out of your way to support the little guy, I just think it's everything right now.
Well, that is also like, I have to, as a business owner, I have to educate my customer as to why it's okay for them to wait 4 to 6 weeks for me to make it, and then it has to be shipped. And that is why when I get new customers that have come off ads and are not used to me as a business, they can get quite snappy with me quite quick. Like, why hasn't it been shipped yet? And I'm like, babe, because you ordered 3 days ago and it says 4 to 6 weeks on the website. You've also not provided me your measurement yet.
Yeah, creatives and small businesses hit hardest by that ridiculous expectation culture that kind of companies like Amazon have created. Right, the one I was thinking would absolutely be on your list is Zara.
Oh, that's so interesting that it didn't actually end up on my list. I actually was going to look into that because, again, I told you I've worked for Booking.com. I spent years working at Zara. I was a visual merchandiser at Zara. I actually also used to be a big shopper at Zara, because obviously what Zara does is they look to the big fashion houses and they copy things. So you can get something that's on trend for a fraction of the price. I've not shopped in Zara since the start of the genocide because of their complicity. I can't believe I missed Zara out.
It's only it's one that's been circling a lot recently because I think they've just opened a brand new mega flagship in Tel Aviv. So it's that not only have they already been under intense criticism for their frankly insane and baffling marketing advertising. Do you remember the visuals?
Well, then they have sort of like body bags and stuff. Yeah, like horrendous. Like just like talk about not even being able to read the room, missing the mark. Like, you need new language for these things. It was fucking psychotic. It was so insanely weird. And I think that's a point a lot of people are like, weird. But here's the thing, when you're a brand that is already under scrutiny and you decide to go brand new flagship in Tel Aviv, right, you are telling us out loud that you just do not give a shit. And for that reason, Zara definitely still on the shit list. Yeah, it's like, us not hearing anything from Gwyneth Paltrow, and then all of a sudden she's working with a real estate agency in Israel, and it's just
sick in my mouth.
Do you remember sort of weeks before I don't know if it was a press conference or it was an interview where she just said, I don't feel anything about the state of the world. That was her statement. I don't feel anything, as a conventionally attractive white woman in the US, this doesn't touch me at all. She felt bold enough to say that, and then beyond that, she aligned herself with Israel in this advert. So it's like, You've shown us who you are, and we will no longer be supporting you and your vulva-scented candles, you know, if we were already.
I mean, God forbid we give them any more fucking airtime this week, but Taylor Swift...
Oh my God, please. Let's just not talk about it.
No,
let's just leave it there.
I'm just not even going to talk about it, but when it comes to burning the traitors, top of the fucking bonfire, bitch.
Oh, completely.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, you are an absolute disgrace and a failure when it comes to anything resembling feminism. And if you are someone that still wants to go hard for Taylor Swift... At this point in 2026, you're not a safe person. You're not a safe person. If you can condone spending $20 million on a fucking wedding, let them eat cake. Literally,
it's guillotine time.
God, just the amount of people prepared to kiss the shoes. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so weird to me.
For me, it's like, it's people who are... capitalists without any capital that will align themselves with celebrity in a way where it's just so baffling because you will never be chosen. You will never be a part of that. You are so much closer to the people that are suffering the most, and you could be there in a minute. You will never reach that level of celebrity and influence and power and money.
I saw some footage, obviously, like, shutting down entire sections of the city, because you can just do that if you have money. But, like, I said to Kev, I saw footage online of the people who were literally, like, screaming, crying, passing out, because they had managed to get hold of actual scraps of food from the bins from the wedding. And they were like, oh my God, it's a little crumb that was at Taylor Swift's wedding. And I'm like, I saw so many commentators and people I look to online who were just like, they had nothing left to say, because what do we say at this point when you're dealing with the insanity of people literally falling over themselves and fainting because they've managed to touch some literal scraps from some obscenely unethically rich person's table? It's wild.
Previously.
Oh my God, please. Let's just not talk about it.
No.
Let's just leave it there.
I'm just not even going to talk about it.
So that was a fucking lie.
A little bit of a tangent here, but just on the way of, like, sort of, they're not going to pick you. Last night, I got home, I was stressed, I had a bath. I tend to watch a YouTube video in the bath. And there was this person talking about how they've just launched recently the first conservative gay cruise. So it's a place where you can go as a conservative gay, and you will not have to worry that the blue-haired pronoun people are going to be there, because you are going to be able to talk to other people who have voted for Donald Trump. So this is an American thing, who are Republican but are also gay. And it's just so, like, it's sad for me because I can understand to a point, you know, just like how fucked up these people are, that they genuinely think that if they are the normal gays, that they will be accepted and they will be saved. You know, should we get to a point where they start
traitors?
Yeah, it's just.
Could somebody have a word with the orcas? Orcas?
Yeah.
Can we assemble a pod, please? There is a cruise ship full of homophobic gay people coming your way.
You cannot hate yourself into making them love you. You know, like you.
Honey, I know.
You know, like they are like the pick me gay mentality. You know, like the LGB without the T, you know, a bit iffy about the B, like fuck all the way off, you know, like they will never pick you. They will for a while so that they can sort of reach their end, so they can use you as an example of the type of gay person that is palatable to them. But the moment that you have helped them throw all of us under the bus, you'll be the next one. Like it is so fucking revolting.
Yeah, I don't really want to, I'm gay, but I don't really want to be marginalized, so I'm going to side with the oppressor as much as possible. And let's face it, there's too many women doing that right now. We know who they are. Top of the bonfire. I think it's a really positive moment in many ways right now, because so many of us are starting to really think about where our money is going, who it is benefiting. And I think that the success of BDS over the last few years of kind of Israeli genocide is important. I think it is the kind of momentum that speaks to people power. I do just wish it could be a little more potent, because we are all, I'm sure, a little disappointed, as we've said, with people around us, where I just, like, that's the thing with being a skunk at the garden party, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to say it.
With being
I'm going to say it.
Buzzkill. Yeah, I'm
going to ask you why you're drinking a fucking Coke. I am.
Yeah. That's
in 2026.
Exactly. We can no longer... We went to Belfast in the week. We had to run some errands. We went to Belfast. And we visited the street where Kev's parents are. And there was Union Jacks fucking everywhere, because they're going to be out on the 12th of July lighting their fires and doing their loyalist flag shagging boot licking bullshit. But there was a giant fucking Israeli flag flying from the same lamppost as a Union Jack. And obviously, like, I'm used to this shit. I lived in Belfast for 3 years, but the way my hackles go up,
me too.
right? The way I am ready to hiss and spit and scratch and scream. And Kev's like, you need to calm down, because obviously I've already depth charged our life there, you know, like, and this is where his parents, I'm not causing shit, right? I need to, it's really tough to be like, that is no different to me than somebody flying a swastika. That's how it feels. It's no different to me, and I want to be the kind of person who under any circumstances will rip that flag from that lamppost. But we also have to remember that part of the reason that they do it is to get a reaction, because they are absolutely on standby to kick your fucking head in the minute that you react in exactly the way that they know that you will.
The thing is as well, Hannah, is that you are useful because you are the person that you are online. And if you were to get in that kind of trouble, you wouldn't be able to be that kind of person that you are online, you know?
Yeah, I get that. But as you know, I do feel that we are all going to have to be prepared to get decked, swing back, get nicked. You know, and at the end of the day, if today's not the day the flag gets ripped off your lamppost, then maybe tomorrow's the day your house burns down. Right? Because houses are getting burnt out in Belfast because of the segregation being used to escalate and inflame already existing tensions there. So I think that's a brave move of you to declare your gang colours so loud and so proud right now. Duly noted. We will remember. Thank you. Right? So I also, for me, it's also been worth remembering that sometimes retaliation is retaliation, and there's a time, and sometimes we bide our time and we wait.
Yeah,
look, I know.
I know. I mean, this is something I've lost many friends over. I've lost friendships with people that I grew up with.
I was going to say, is this what people call militant? Is this like...
Yeah, but I mean, I just find it absolutely astounding that I can bring this up with people that I know and them just sort of seem to not really know anything about it. And I'm just like...
I honestly think, and I never want to, I don't want to soapbox too much, and I never ever want to speak in a way that makes people feel like I think I'm better than them. I was way too late to the party on Palestine. I didn't know anything about the Nakba. It's literally something that I have really had to start giving a shit about in the last 3 or 4 years, you know? I've had to learn so much from so many, and I quite often don't know what I'm talking about, and I have to go and read. I have to remember that I'm still learning, but I really... do feel that we're at a point where I understand that it's almost, I feel like it's immensely painful for people to put certain stuff down. I think the nature of our reality is so fucking grim that if you ask people to stop and really look and put down the Starbucks and stop spending on Amazon, they're gonna have to come to terms in the way that we have been, right? A lot of people listening have been. And it's fucking hard work, and it's really painful. And I think society has just put people in a position where, like, even if they'd love to, they just can't. Because they know how much it will overwhelm, and they know how much it will throw them off what it is that they need to do that they maybe don't love doing so much anyway. And I just think that we do have to remember, in order to keep the movement healthy and positive, that it is actually really hard for some people at some time, because they've really done a number on us at this point.
Well, I mean, look, as I've said before, it took me longer than I'm proud to say, and I'm the kind of person that really needs to read, like take my time, step back from something, read and understand before I feel confident speaking. But also, one of the big reasons is that because I grew up around people that are Zionists, and these are like one of my childhood best friends and that person's family were all Zionists. And I had that around me, and I knew that I was going to have to disconnect from these people. And that in itself was so painful and difficult for me, because I was giving up a part of who I was back then. I wasn't a Zionist, but those people were a big part of my life and who I was. And giving that up and shutting that door was really, really hard. And still hurts, to be honest. So I can understand that sometimes cutting those ties and coming to the realization that in order to support this movement, you will have to do that, can be heartbreaking. And it was for me.
And that's, I think, why so many of us get so frustrated, right? I shouted Free Palestine out of the wrong window at the wrong people, and I no longer felt I was safe. Right? And it was the main motivating factor as to why it was that Kev and I had to make the decision to leave East Belfast, because it was only going to be a matter of time before I got hurt or nicked, because I literally made content that day being like, I'm going to get arrested. I just feel like I'm going to get arrested, because I was already like boiling, blood boiling over Palestine and the injustice. But yeah, I think because there are those of us who've like had to lose something, who've had to be in these really awkward and difficult situations with long-term friends or even family members, or like it's compromised or cost us in our careers or professionally, when somebody can't just put down a fucking can of Coke, that I think that's part of
that's it. Do you know what? That is it. It's like, these are the things that I've sacrificed. There's also invisible things that are opportunities that have probably passed me by as a result of being outspoken in this way. And you can't put down that can of Coke. That really bothers me.
That and the fact we just hit 1,000 days of genocide, right? Remembering the Palestinian people, and talk about sacrifice and discomfort, and people literally being eaten alive by rats trying to survive in a tent, having been displaced multiple times, trying to survive in conditions that are not suitable for sustaining human life still. You just put the fucking Coca-Cola down. It really is not that
Get difficult. A grip.
What are you going to do? Die? Oh, fridge cigarettes, Diet Coke. Oh, stop. Just stop.
Yeah. Anyway,
who are the others? The others that have been makeup brands you mentioned when you were getting ready for VGT. I think MAC are on the shit list.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's a lot of information online about that, obviously. Some alternatives, a lot of smaller drugstore brands are BDS friendly. There's also, is it Huda Beauty, who is, I think, either Palestinian or Iranian owned, I'm not sure, but I know that she's been very actively pro-Palestine. So the information is online.
This is what I kind of love as well, is that we are actually living in a world now where the alternative is there. It does exist. You might have to find it. It might cost you a little bit more money. But the alternatives generally are there. It's like, do you remember how hard it used to be like vegetarian or vegan in the early 2000s? Where you used to have to go to like Holland and Barrett, the one dedicated health food shop, to find like a bit of like soy fake fish or something, and then it just was shit. Whereas now, obviously, as we've said, it's incredible, and there's so much. So as I said, sometimes you can be really doing yourself a favor in divesting it, right? When you decide to boycott Starbucks, all of a sudden you might open yourself up to drinking, like I said, better coffee in better places, getting to meet and chat with people, the barista, in a way you're never going to get in a Starbucks. You're never going to get to build rapport or relationship with the person who makes your coffee, you know? So, it's 11:11. Is that a good time for us to wrap it up so we can go back out into the world?
Yeah, what are you doing today?
I have a dentist appointment. Self-care. So I'm going to go and get my toothy pegs sorted out. So there's a bit of that. What else am I doing today? We've got Colin from Queer Cosmos as a guest in the cult tomorrow.
Ah, is that tomorrow? Oh my god!
It's tomorrow, so I should probably tell people about that so they know that it's tomorrow.
Okay, amazing.
So yeah, I'm going to be doing a little bit of that. That Glasgow Witch is coming back this month as well. Fantastic. I've got another Q&A, I think on the 14th. There's like a lot happening in like 1 week. So yeah,
fab.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have to tell people that's happening and is exciting right now, but yeah, I think for me today, I just really wanted to talk directly to anybody, especially like when you arrive in midlife and have to deal with the whole perimenopause of it all, and, you know, just like whatever it is. If it's your neurodivergence, your anxiety and depression, the fucking state of the world, your hormones, all of the above, right? Like, I just went through a period of time where I really did not feel myself. And it was so hard to feel like I was not me. But having now tentatively emerged from my cocoon, I now feel like the most me I've ever been. So I just want to say to anyone listening, please hang in. The struggle is real, but sometimes you do have to be dissolved and turned to goo in order to keep going. And I kept trying to do it all on my time and on my terms, and it wouldn't quite click. And it's only when I took my hands off the wheel completely and really had to relinquish control and practice some trust that I've started to feel better. So if you're struggling, hang in there. It can shift for you in a way that you've perhaps already given up on ever happening for you.
I love that for you. I'm so happy that you're feeling better.
I'm so relieved just not to be like face down in the duvet. Like, for real, I was suicide. I mean, you know, I was suicidally depressed there. Something was seriously wrong. I had to go and talk to my GP. Had to try some medication. I'm taking sleeping tablets, you know, like, so I again, just to normalize that. And let people know that it is tough just to kind of keep on keeping on. And if you're in one day at a time mode, it's the way that I literally managed to get through about the last 18 months of my life. So one day at a time mode is absolutely a-okay, and you are still right on time, I promise.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So thanks for supporting us on our Patreon, Stinkers. I want to say a big thanks to Ronnie, our most recent recruit.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Thanks, Ronnie. We do so appreciate those of you who are able to sling us a couple of quid a month for a cup of coffee. A weekly podcast is rather a lot of work, and obviously because we're not on Apple and Spotify, we could also use a little help getting growing. So a bit of the old click, like, and subscribe on YouTube would be fab. I think we need about 300 subscribers to start monetizing content on YouTube. And yeah, Patreon too. Even if you're a free member, of course, that's how you can find out about new episodes.
Yes.
Are you all right, babes? You seem a little down in the dumps.
No, I'm good. Just
Tired,
lots going
distracted.
on. Lots going on. I mean, you know, between the factory chat, the chat with it's just been such a big level up.
Podcast about fucking boycotts and Palestine. Yeah. Well, look, we've done it. It's in the bag.
Yes. Well
Thanks
done.
everyone for listening. I'll let you get back to work. Back to making those belts, you Tommy Vowles. And you never know, if you get it all done, I'll have a croissant waiting for you.
Oh my God, please.
In Paris in September. Thank you so much for listening. Keep it stinky, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.